I just want to do a few more examples for you in this video. We're going to differentiate cosine of 5x minus 1. And we know we need the chain rule because we can see that there is an outside function and an inside function. So we always want to identify what those are. My inside function is going to be the 5x minus 1. My outside function is going to be the cosine function. So cosine of stuff is the outside function, right? So we're going to be taking the derivative of y, so y prime. The chain rule says take the derivative of the outside function first. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. So we're going to take negative sine of stuff is our outside function derivative. Leave the inside function alone on the first step. So we're going to leave that 5x minus 1. Then we multiply by the derivative of the inside function. Derivative of 5x minus 1 is 5. All right, and all I'm going to do to simplify that is to pull that 5 out to the front with that negative. So y prime is equal to negative 5 sine 5x minus 1. I mentioned in the last video that exponents and trig functions, when they get mixed together, are probably the hardest to discern what's the inside function and what's the outside function. So anytime you see that kind of notation, that sine to the 6th of x, remember that that just means that the exponent is actually on the outside. So if you need to, we can rewrite this function as sine x to the 6th plus sine x to the 6th. All right, so this actually needs two different chain rules, one for the first term and one for the second term. So let's go take this one by one. So for the first sine function, x to the 6th is the inside function, and the sine function is the outside function. So sine of stuff. And our chain rule says take the derivative of the outside function. So we're going to take the derivative of sine, that's cosine. We leave the inside function alone. Then we multiply by the derivative of the inside function. Inside function derivative is 6x to the 5th. All right, then we're going to move on and take the derivative of the second term. This is a completely new chain rule. So again, we're going to identify that our inside function this time is the sine function, and our outside function is the raising stuff to the 6th power function. All right, so we take the derivative with the chain rule. Take the derivative of the outside function first, so 6, and subtract 1 from the exponent. That's the derivative of the taking stuff to the 6th power function. We leave the inside function alone, so we're going to leave the sine function alone. Then we multiply by the derivative of the inside function. The derivative of sine is cosine. All right, so let's try to clean all of this up. So for my first function, cosine of x to the 6th, that x to the 6th is trapped inside the cosine function. So you're not going to combine it with that 6x to the 5th. All I can do is maybe bring this 6x to the 5th out front. So that's our first term simplified. Our second term, I'm going to bring the cosine up front with the 6. So 6 cosine x. And then sine x to the 5th, I'm going to rewrite that with our shorthand notation. That's just sine to the 5th x. All right, and again, most of the time when you have more than one trig function being multiplied in a term, we usually write them with low exponent to high exponent left to right. But again, that's just convention. It wouldn't be wrong to write the sine to the 5th first and then the cosine. Let's take a look at this one, y equals 5 over x cubed minus 7 squared. You could use the quotient rule for this one. A much easier way to do that, since there's only a 5 up in the numerator, would be to rewrite this with a negative exponent. And that way the 5 is just a constant multiplier, and we can treat the x cubed minus 7 to the negative 2 with a chain rule. Right, so we're going to take the derivative. We know that that 5 is just going to go along for the ride, and then we need to treat the rest of it with a chain rule. So my inside function is x cubed minus 7. My outside function is the exponent with a negative 2. So raising stuff to the negative 2. All right, so again, the 5 is going along for the ride. We're going to multiply that times our chain rule. Chain rule says take the derivative of the outside function first. So we're going to bring down that negative 2. When we subtract 1 from that exponent, negative 2 minus 1 is going to give us a negative 3. Leaving the inside function alone, so x cubed minus 7. Then we're going to multiply by the derivative of the inside function, which is just going to be 3x squared. All right, and there's our derivative. All we have left to do is to simplify. So the 5, the -2, and the 3x squared, those all have positive exponents. They're going to remain in the numerator of our answer. That x cubed minus 7 to the -3rd, I'm going to send that back down. Okay, so I'm going to have down in the denominator x cubed minus 7 to the +3, because I've moved it back down. And then I'm going to multiply all the rest of the terms with the little orange swoops under them. 5 times -2 would give me -10, times 3x squared would give me -30x squared. And if we had painstakingly tried to take this derivative with the quotient rule, we would eventually end up with the same answer. It just would have been a lot more simplification work.